Nick is, I believe, going to get Jason Clark to join us, who's got an interesting. What line is he on? 2?
Yeah, he's on 2. Yeah, I don't know who's calling the other one.
No, we don't
probably answer that.
I'm excited, though, boys.
Well, I think you guys have as many questions as I do, although I got to confess, Jason Clark, who joins us right now, he's the president of Southeastern Reptile Rescue. And, Jason, one of the things I saw that you say on your website is people really don't know about reptiles and especially snakes. And most people, you say, think the only good snake is a dead snake. And I don't want to be quite that harsh, but I probably would be in that group. So you got to educate us. You got to educate us. What is it that I don't know about snakes that would change my mind?
Man. Well, you know what I found out as I go across the country speaking at these events. I found out that most of what people know to be true about snakes is just false.
Really?
And so when what you know is truth is actually completely false, it makes you not like something, you know. And so when we do our seminars and our videos and things, we try to take these things that people believe is truth, and we show them how ridiculous some of it is. And then they're like, oh, okay, this is not at all what I thought it was. And, I kind of compare it to a kid who's afraid of the dark. They're afraid of the dark because they can't see what's in the room. When you flip the light on, now they have knowledge of what's actually there. The fear goes away instantly. It's the same thing with snakes. The less you know, the more afraid you are.
Right.
And so when we actually give people accurate information versus what they've always heard, then
that's true.
The mindset can change a little bit.
Pat Jagger's here. Nicky V's on the phone, but he'll be back. And our guest is Jason Clark. And here's the thing. Again, though, this at first I was like, I'm not sure I could make this work. You said in order to really, get comfortable with the snake, not a non-poisonous one, of course, but you got to get bitten by a snake. Really? I mean, I don't know about that. I'm not sure I'm digging that. What's that all about?
So we have volunteers that work with us, and that's more for them because I want them to understand. People think getting bit by a non-venomous snake can be really dangerous because they eat mice and rats and all this crazy stuff, and there's a huge risk of infection, and that's not true. A snake's mouth. Have you ever had food stuck in your teeth?
Sure.
The first thing that starts to cause is bacteria growth. Snakes' teeth are not designed to trap particles of food. They don't have the bacteria that we have. You would have more trouble from infection getting bit by the person sitting next to you in the studio right now than you would from any snake in the world, even a venomous snake.
Wow.
So infection from the bite itself of a snake is a very rare thing that we don't see very much. Now, if you get bit by a venomous snake and then you have damage from that and there's an open wound and over time, that can get infected. But the actual bite itself of a snake is really not that bad. So, as far as non-venomous snakes go. So one thing that we like to see happen with our volunteers, if they're going to be in front of an audience handling a snake, I don't want their first snake bite experience to be before a live audience because they'll freak out. they might. So I'm like, look, come here. This snake is not nice. Just go pick it up. Yes, it's probably going to bite you, but let's just get this over with. And then once it happens, the worst part is, boom, it happens quick, okay? And because it happens so quick, they're like, oh, crap, that was really fast. And then they're like, that's it? That's it. That's what I was afraid of. Now with like a 12-foot python, it's a little worse. 12-foot long rat snake. Okay, so I'm not going to make you get bit by a 12-foot python, but these little garter snakes and rat snakes that we find in their yard, the bite from these things is not what people think it is.
Well, I think that's really interesting, Jason, because I worked at a zoo for about 3 years in Indianapolis. I wanted to be a marine biologist before I got in sports talk radio. And for me, my biggest fear on God's green earth is snakes. I am beyond terrified of snakes. I know what happened was, Jason, we were on remote one time with Kentucky Fish and Wildlife. They knew I was terrified. They brought a snake up next to me and put it on my shoulder. I wouldn't look.
Oh.
I was horrified. I wouldn't look. So my question for you, Jason, is how do I get over my fear of snakes?
Well, okay, so when people start to, like I said, when you learn about something, but even when you're trying to educate yourself, let's say you're watching a nature documentary, okay? Let's say you're on some, popular channel you're watching. They're actually teaching you accurate information about snakes.
Right.
What I found is if you will stop listening to what they say, even if it's true, and listen to the music they have playing in the background, it's always this heart-pumping music to get your blood going. And so sometimes it's not about what you're taught, it's about how you're made to feel.
Wow.
That will stick with you over what they tell you is true about snakes.
That's true. They're not playing a lot of Brahms' Lullaby on Shark Week, for example. So yeah, your point's well taken.
So, like, Jason, should I essentially just be in a room with a snake and just deal with it? Like, what should I do if I really want to get over this bad boy?
I would start. Okay, go to my YouTube channel.
Okay.
And watch some of our videos. So I used to have my own TV series on Animal Planet.
Oh,
and
nice.
I've done a lot of movie and film work over the years. I've done 40 or 50 feature films and lots of TV shows. We just filmed some commercials this week and filming a thing for DC Comics this week. So we do a lot of film stuff, but that's how I kind of learned to do filming and editing and all this stuff. So we have a YouTube channel, and we kind of just go out on, they can really start during the pandemic, because I had 300 shows to go speak at. They were all canceled.
Oh,
and so I got a GoPro and just sort of film it. And what I realized is there's some nuts that live around here, and I get to film them all.
Hey, we're in sports radio. We could have told you that a long time ago.
Yeah. So when we go on these 911 calls and we film these people and they're just beside themselves, oh my gosh, I have a snake. And then we catch a snake, and especially if it's non-venomous, by the time we go, sometimes they're holding the snake.
Oh,
and
wow.
people are like, well, that wouldn't be me. I classify people, and this is very horrible of me to do this, but I classify people in two camps when it comes to learning about snakes. You're either ignorant or you're stupid. If you're stupid, you just can't learn, all right? But if you're ignorant, you just haven't learned it yet, all right? And so you got to figure out which one you are. Once you figure that out, then we can work with you.
Wow. You've got some hilarious stuff on YouTube, by the way. I just saw the video of you getting bit in the face by a king snake, and as you try to clean up the blood, the snake then bites your finger, and then every time you move your hand, it just keeps on trying to bite you as you clean yourself up. I mean, it's you're trying to get me calmed down for this, but I'm getting scared just watching these videos. You get bit in the face.
Well, don't take it personally. I mean, I know the story, but maybe I can get you to tell it. Tell the story about your mother, right? Isn't it your mother who was helping you with the show, and she was not totally comfortable yet either. And tell everybody what happened in that, because I think it's kind of funny.
This is why we started trying to get volunteers bit by snakes before a show. We're at a very popular, huge sporting goods store, and we're in front of this big aquarium, and I'm doing a venomous snake show. We haven't got to the venomous snakes yet, and we're using non-venomous snakes. And my mom happened to be there, and I'm like, hey, Mom, you come hold the snakes up. You be my Vanna White, right? Okay. You hold the snakes up, and I'll talk about them, and you show the snake. And all of a sudden, she's holding a king snake, and the king snake just latches onto her finger. And so she turns around with her back to the audience and gets my attention. Jason, I'm getting bit. The snake's biting me right now. I'm like, this is so cool. So and the snake is dangling. And I'm like, look, here's a snake bite. And we start explaining it. She's like, Jason, no, get it off my finger. I'm like, you're fine. It's a teaching moment.
It's a teaching moment. Calm down.
Oh, my God.
All right, I got.
She didn't even die. It's over. I'm like, look, but did you die?
All right, I got a question. You said you've worked on. By the way, Jason Clark, follow his YouTube channel. I just retweeted it. Southeastern Reptile Rescue. If you want to follow him on YouTube, it's definitely a pretty entertaining follow. I do follow him. You said though you've worked on movies, which means you've worked with actors and actresses.
Yeah.
Are any of them just absolutely petrified of snakes, or people that like someone you'd find surprising? Like, I don't know, John C. Reilly actually has 7 pet pythons or something like that. Who's a snake person and who's not in Hollywood?
I've got to tell you the story, and I've never really told the story publicly, but I think I should. So I've done a lot of movies. I've done the Avengers Endgame, Infinity War, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Godzilla. We've done a lot of movies. And one day I got to hang out on set with Clint Eastwood for over an hour, and he told me all about filming all over the world with snakes. So I met some really cool people, but I got to tell you the story. I was on the set of a movie, and it was Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and it was Abby Cornish and Anthony Hopkins.
Oh.
Whoa.
And I showed up on set just to stop by because I had some friends there. And they said, hey, go get your little gator out of the car and show it around to some of the crew members. I'm like, okay, I got like a 2-foot alligator in my truck. So bring the alligator out, and someone goes on the radio and says, there's an alligator out here, Well, Anthony Hopkins hears this, stops filming, and comes out and says, where's the gator? And he comes over, and he wants to pet and hold the gator. And I'm like, this is so cool. This is Sir Anthony Hopkins, And so we start talking, and he says, so why do you have a gator here? And I started telling him what I do. He said, so you've got more animals in your truck? And I said, yes, sir. He said, what do you have? So I started naming animals. And I mentioned I had a cobra.
Oh!
He said, you have a cobra in your truck right now? I said, yes, sir. He said, could I see it? I said, Mr. Hopkins, there's 200 people here. I don't think you want me bringing out a live cobra. And he said, he goes, I said, it's okay. I said, well, I'll be right back. At this point, we're on a feature film. Filming has shut down because he wants to see a cobra. So now this particular cobra was a monocled cobra, and it was also leucistic, which means it's pure white. There's no white cobra. It's probably 4 or 5 foot long. So I go and I bring this cobra out. We move everybody back, and I get my snake hook. And what I do is I tail the snake. So what that means is I'm holding the tail of the snake in my left hand, and the head of the snake is under the hook as I'm holding it out. And so I'm holding it, and I've got photos of this on our Facebook page and stuff. And he's looking at it, admiring it, how beautiful it is. And then he says, can I touch it?
No, boy.
Ooh. Oh, geez.
And I said, well, look, I said, if you get behind me, you stand behind me, and my left hand over here, which is at my side, you can stand behind me and you can touch its tail. He says, okay. Well, he doesn't touch his tail. He puts his hand under the snake in front of my left hand. Then he puts his other hand under the snake in front of his hand. And then he moves his other hand up. So I turned to him and said, Mr. Hopkins, you can't hold the cobra. And then he looks at me just so calmly and says, call me Tony. I said, Tony, you can't hold the cobra. Okay.
Call you Phyllis. You're still not holding the cobra.
Okay? I'm not going to be made famous for killing Francie.
Wow, that's a good story.
That's amazing.
Oh man, well, we appreciate you being our first outside the sports world. We want to know Wednesday again. You can and congratulations too, by the way. This Southeastern Reptile Rescue, of which he's the president, he started this organization. This is something that goes back to your childhood. I know when you were just 7 years old and you found a snake, and I mean you've grown up just loving all animals, haven't you? You know why snakes are hard for people to get their head around? Because almost every animal. I watched a video today of a guy who's got a pet, a squirrel, who lives with him like a real pet. He climbs on his shoulder. What do snakes do that you can't ever train them to do anything, can you? There's only bad things that come from snakes. That's how most people see it. So are there any cute snakes?
Yeah, there's a lot of cute snakes. You can't read their facial expressions, but, speaking of squirrels, I had a lady call me the other day, and she's like, Jason, I've got a huge black snake in the tree in my front yard. I don't know what to do. I said, ma'am, I'm in the same boat as you. I got a tree in my front yard, and there's a squirrel living in it, and wildlife is amazing. And she said, yeah, but the snake, that squirrel's not going to jump out of the tree and come over here and bite me. I said, well, neither is a snake. But that's how people think.
That's true.
About snakes. They think that they're these creatures that want to come get you, but we can't look at a snake's face like a squirrel and kind of read its mood and its personality. And that's kind of what I think freaks people out about reptiles.
But based on your website, the snakes do have different personalities, though, don't they? I mean, I hear you refer to one.
This
snake is an ornery one. That one's
Yeah, even snakes in the same species will have different temperaments. Like, for instance, I've got, like, even our alligators. Our alligators all have different temperaments. I just had to film a movie for HBO, and I was on set with Nicole Kidman.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm about to be the best alligator handler she's ever seen. And this stupid gator bit me right in front of her.
Oh, my God.
It just, like, latched onto my thumb. And so some alligators are jerks. Not all of them, but that one is.
Wow. That is hilarious.
Just that one.
We had a caller, Jason. Caller Roger was wondering. He didn't get a look at the snake, but there was some construction being done outside of his house, and a bunch of guys were working in a pipe near his house, and they had to go down a manhole, and they all came flying out because they saw a snake down there. And he was saying, I don't think it's a poisonous snake. The guys were like, no, we're not coming back to work. And so he wanted to know whether or not these guys were, running away and taking a free day off, or if likely there is a venomous Kentucky snake that likes to sleep in manholes.
Not necessarily. Sometimes what will happen is a snake will fall into a drain somewhere and end up in a place where it just can't get out. So my questions would be, what part of Kentucky are they in? And then I would try to figure out what venomous snakes live there. And then I would ask, okay, how big was the snake? If you didn't get a good look at it, you don't know what color it is, how big was it? And that can also tell. So if it's a 6-foot snake in Kentucky, well, that's probably not going to be anything dangerous. It's probably going to be a big rat snake.
Right.
Okay.
Well, again, we appreciate the visit. Thanks for being our first guest, and We Want to Know Wednesday outside the sports box. And you can go find out more from Jason Clark. He's got a whole bunch of YouTube videos. You can go to his website, Snakeosaurus.com. That's
Snakes are us.
Oh, Snakeosaurus. I like that better. But snakes are us, yeah. I tried to turn you into a dinosaur guy. Snakes are us. There it is. There we go. Snakeosaurus. I like a Snakeosaurus.
We don't pay you to read, okay?
Actually, I'm in radio. They kind of do, so I better get that right. Snakes are us. All one word. Snakesareus.com. And it's a really cool website. A whole bunch of things. Not just snakes, by the way. As he told you in the interview, he's got all sorts of animals on there. Alligators and all sorts of. So people don't know the difference between alligators and crocodiles. Do you have crocodiles too, or just alligators?
I've had crocodiles in the past. I've had Nile crocodiles and Morlet's crocodiles. We've had caimans here, but at the moment we just have alligators.
All right. Well, there you
Jason, let me ask you one quick question, then we'll get you out
We
of
just can't let them go.
No,
I'm in the same boat. I've said goodbye 3 times already, but we just can't go.
So.
That's fine.
We asked, this is actually 2 questions. First off, how many venomous snakes are there in Kentucky do you know of?
That's a good one.
I know a lot of people ask that question all the time. They're like, even if I go in my backyard here in Louisville, am I going to see a venomous snake, right? Like people want to know about snakes. They see one, that's the first thing they ask themselves, are they venomous? Yeah. Is there really a large venomous threat in the state of Kentucky?
People think that here in the South we just have tons of snakes, and the truth is we do. That's why I love the South. But so Kentucky doesn't have as many as Georgia. So Kentucky doesn't have coral snakes. You don't have eastern diamondback rattlesnakes.
Right.
And so we've got pygmy rattlesnakes in Georgia. Do you have them I don't think you have those in Kentucky. I think in Kentucky you've got mainly copperheads. Copperheads are very common in Kentucky. And then some places, of course, you have timber rattlesnakes in Kentucky. And also some parts of Kentucky you can have cottonmouths, I believe. But those are not very widespread in Kentucky. But mainly copperheads and timbers are going to be your most 2 common venomous snakes in Kentucky.
Gotcha.
There you go. Well, you've answered just about every question. You'll be happy.
Wait.
Now you got one. I got one more. Why not? Go ahead.
Like we've established that the snakes are, more than half of them. They're mostly just out there living their happy little snaky lives. But I was playing catch with my brother the other day, and this is a true story. And as I'm prone to do, I threw the ball over his head. And he went to go run and catch it, and he slipped, and he fell, and he found himself face to face with a snake. Who was just minding his own business, going through some grass. The snake just slithered away. We looked it up. It was I forgot. It was like a brown something or other, but non venomous. Just chilling. But hypothetically he were to fall on one of those cottonmouths, and the cottonmouth, took exception to it and nibbled him. I mean, what's the proper way to treat a snake bite? Do I need to go to the urgent care immediately, or can I just sleep it off?
I think you got to pee on it. I think you're supposed to
pee on it. I was thinking
like
maybe
sea urchins, right?
just take a nap and drink some ginger ale, and it'll pass. I don't know.
Well, that's the first time I've heard someone say a snake nibbled on them. If you get nibbled on by a snake, I get so. There's more of what not to do than what you should do. Okay, first of all, no tourniquets. That's a bad thing.
Okay.
That makes things worse. No ice. You're going to have swelling if it's a pit viper, which is a copperhead, cottonmouth, or rattlesnake. You're going to have swelling. So you think you want to put ice on it, but ice is a really, really bad thing for pit viper or for any snake bite. You don't want to cut and suck the wound. That causes more damage. You want to immobilize that part of your body. Let's say you've been on the arm, okay? And unless you're hitting an artery, which is pretty rare,
right?
When the snake bites you, the venom is going to flow through your lymph system. And lymph flows through your body by skeletal movement. So you want to keep that part of your arm, the skeleton, you want to keep it still and elevated above the heart, and get yourself to the hospital. So even if you're going to drive yourself to the hospital versus waiting on an ambulance, sometimes that might actually be okay. But if you're going to drive yourself, here's what you do. You call 911, you tell them who you are, that you're a bit, where on your body you're a bit, what you're driving, the route you're taking, and where you're going, because this venom can make your blood pressure plummet.
Oh, wow.
And if you flip your truck over into a ditch and someone finds you, they're not going to also know you're a snake bite victim unless you've told them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fabulous. You need to listen online, because I'm going to now read a series of texts that have come in that will make your head swell, because the people are just loving this. So, Jason, thank you so much. Hopefully you'll come back and visit with us again. We appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right,
Anytime.
thanks. No, I'm not
That
making
was
that
awesome.
up. It is like a ticker tape. This one
He's the
says,
best, man.
great segment. Get this guy back. This one says, tremendous guest. I work in a similar field. Very fun and enlightening. Pygmy snakes are in western Kentucky. This guy says, give up on this segment, because you'll never improve on today. You'll never get a guest better than this guy. He's probably sadly right. I don't know who can come on and top that.
That was awesome.
That was pretty good.
Can we get him on once a month, Nick?
You know what?
I actually still have a ton of questions, by the way.
That's what
Me too. I could have gone another
Could have
hour.
done the whole 3 hours with the guy.